Today's video, we're going to talk about decreased conversion rates from ad traffic or PPC ads that you're running to a landing page or a website. Whether you're e-commerce, whether you're doing lead generation, B2B, B2C, does not matter. I'm going to explain in extremely simple terms why you're likely to have this problem. 90% of the reason why you're having lower conversion rates, that is specifically, to be clear here, you had a conversion rate of X, now it's Y. Y is half or a quarter of what you had before. You were at 5% before, you're at 1.5% now. What the hell happened? That is what I'm going to explain in this particular video so you can narrow it down and furthermore get it fixed. 90% of the problem, 90% of the time, it comes down to two basic main reasons or whatnot why it happens. So these are not, and just so that you understand before I get into explaining these, I see other videos on YouTube about this topic and they'll be like, there could be these 8 reasons. These people don't actually run campaigns. They talk about it. And they sell courses and they make money off of your so-called stupidity of not understanding somebody who actually knows what they're talking about versus not, because you don't also have the experience. You want to learn. I manage dozens of ad accounts on an ongoing basis, have managed hundreds upon hundreds of ad campaigns. This is what makes me qualified to actually specifically answer this question, okay? So that out of the way, there's 2 reasons here. The first of which is 2 very dirty words: click fraud. If you have an issue with click fraud, your conversion rates can take a dump, okay? And how do you know you got click fraud? Okay? That's actually not very easy for the average person to tell that they even have an issue, because obviously the people doing fraud they're clever enough to make sure you don't know that's even happening to you and go undetected. That's the best click fraud to do, is they literally will make you think it's Google's fault or Facebook's fault that your traffic isn't converting anymore the way that it was, or good enough to even make money, make a profit after your expenses. The first way that you tell if you got click fraud, if we're talking about search advertising, weird search term data, okay? A lot of you guys, if you're just starting, don't even know the difference between a keyword and a search term. A keyword's what you bid on and what you idealistically would have your ad show up for. A search term is what you actually have your ad show up for, in that is what the user typed in before they clicked on your ad. The search term report is the most important report in your entire advertising account, whether you're talking about Google or Microsoft / Bing. Because it tells you whether you're on point or not. Is it showing up for the right stuff? If it's not showing up for the right stuff, it's just a matter of how much money you're losing. And you lose enough, you're inefficient enough, you're not going to make any profit. So what happens though, if suddenly you go from that 5 to now 1.5% conversion rate from click to sale or click to lead, you go into your search terms report and you see physically if there's any difference between the search terms, the way that you had before, the way they were in that report versus after, and is there significant differences there? More than likely, it won't be obvious. It'll be like, so if you're targeting one niche where it's really common, where click fraud's really common, the restoration services space, where if you have a fire, you need your house restored after it, or you got a mold problem, or you got a broken pipe, water damage, whatever. Highly, highly competitive space and wrought with click fraud, because people come in and buy up all the leads and then resell them to other people in the space, and they'll knock out everybody, and then the same people they knock out that are now starving for leads, they sell the leads to them. It's a perfect setup for them, at least, if you don't have any conscience. So what they'll do is have software click your ads, and the software can be pre-programmed to search on Google to have the ad propagate for them, for the software, any way that you want. And you load it up with like 3 or 4 different searches. And with that though, there'll be weird searches in your search terms report that don't seem right. 4 or 5 word combinations specifically. It'll be like water damage restoration services company. A 5-word phrase that you damn well know 15 people aren't searching for that a month. Maybe a person searches for that once a month, once every other month. And specifically, when you have the ability to contrast, how many times that search got searched before versus now. If it's suddenly searched 25 times more than it was searched before, that's a huge red flag right then and there. You have a click fraud issue. And what you can do about it, obviously, in that case, is block your ad from showing up for that specific search anymore. Whether or not it seems like it should show up for that, or whether legitimate people are searching that way, because at the end of the day, if you don't get rid of click fraud and it's happening to you, you generally cannot make money. So it's either you take less volume, potentially, block out some good people to get rid of the bad, or you just don't make any freaking money. So obviously the choice that you don't have any choice. So that's one way to tell and fix it. The other way you tell if you got a click fraud issue, and that's why your conversion rates have went downhill, is you got other weird demographic or placement trends. That is, you go into the demographics and you see the demographics of the people that are clicking your ad now versus before, and if there's a big difference there, you can block out certain demographics. Or if you're doing display advertising, even Facebook advertising, you go ahead and you see where your ad's showing up now versus before. Naturally, Facebook's really not included in that. I shouldn't even said that. But if you're running Google Display Network ads or YouTube ads or demand gen ads, it'll tell you, similar to that so-called search terms report, it'll say, Google will tell you where your ad showed up, what channels, what websites. If that, where it shows up is suddenly different, you got a click fraud issue again. In that case, by the way, the click fraud, where it generally comes in when you're talking about Google Display Network specifically, it's websites that are clicking their own ads to make money illegitimately. So then you have to block that whole website because that website owner is a head. If you're talking about YouTube ads or demand gen ads, which your ads run through on the demand gen campaigns, it's YouTube/Gmail. What I've seen happens, and it is rare, but it does happen for sure as well. Could happen in your space that in YouTube ads, they're profitable one day, they're not profitable anymore, the conversion rates went down. The competitor has a bot that'll trigger your YouTube ads and click through, and it's just a bot you're paying to get in front of then. Okay, and in that case, it'll be certain channels that, because if you got remarketing on, it'll now, all they got to do is trigger your video ad once, and now it'll trigger and trigger and trigger. But there is also ways that if you have no remarketing, that they can have your ad show up, trigger your ad. That is, if you're just targeting a certain niche or certain channel, they could go about it that way. That is, they have to predict where your ad's going to show up. This is, by the way, why it's hard to get click fraud on Facebook. If you're not doing remarketing, it's very hard to predict where your ad's going to actually propagate and show up. So therefore, click fraud isn't really an issue, or at least a big enough issue where it's going to stop you from making money. Anyway, if you got a click fraud issue, whether it's be on Display Network, YouTube ads, search ads, Bing ads / Microsoft ads, you can use a ClickCease account, which the easiest, best way to use your ClickCease account to block click fraud is to just simply go with the most restrictive setting. That is, if anybody's got to your website before, that IP address of that user, it goes on the block list. Microsoft, you can't necessarily do that because they only allow so many IPs. So anybody who's clicked the ad 3 times will go on the block list. That naturally, though, doesn't work if you're talking about a high-end product that you're selling, because many times they have to come back to the site more than once. Most of the time they have to come back to the site more than once in order to buy. So if you start doing that, you really are cutting off your foot to save your hand, if you will, and you can't do that. Where you would do that, and where, frankly, where 95% of the click fraud exists is in services. Why? Because the cost per click is really high, and they don't have to try very hard to get rid of all your ad budget. They can click your ad 20 times a day and your budget's all gone already. But with services, it is generally, you're doing lead generation. Lead generation, they either respond right away or they don't for the most part, or at a high enough percentage of the time that you can legitimately just block the person from being able to click through, or should I say see your ad once, and that's it, and they can only click through it once. If you will, they can see it more than once, but click it once, and that's it. And that will then clean up a lot of your click fraud, if you will. It won't clean up all of the click fraud all the time, because if they have a way to cycle through different IP addresses, you're still screwed, which is where you have to go back up to these first 2 things I talked about. Search term data, blocking search terms, demographics, to be able to filter it out and go about filtering out at that level using different patterns that you see, the bots that they are using, the patterns that they follow, because there's always a pattern to it. Very, very rarely is the person doing the click fraud sophisticated enough to randomize everything. The IP address, the location, the age, the gender, it'll screw up somewhere, and you'll be able to see it if you dig far enough into your data. And which is this other way that I just mentioned here on my list that you can block the click fraud. That is surgical blocking of different graphics, psychographics. You're filtering on the user level. That is how they search or who they are. So that's how you do it. And if your conversion rate though is down, not because you have click fraud, and you went through my instructions here and you found out, yeah, I don't think I really have any click fraud. It could be because of a bot tracking plus loose targeting. Okay, so the first thing is broad match. If you have broad match keywords, you should just stop this video right now and kick yourself in your own ass, because you're screwing yourself using broad match keywords for the most part anymore. I use them sometimes, but most of you guys watching shouldn't be using them, because you're throwing away, whether that be 10, 20, 30, 50% of your money on total garbage people that your ads simply shouldn't show up for. And so what happens is, if you're using broad match keywords, you're saying, Google, you run the ads for me essentially. And what happens over time is, it can go off the rails. Google's algorithm suddenly thinks you should show up for people looking to rent your products, or for free products, or products that you sell where there's a grant available, and all this weird shit that if you just ran your keywords in exact or phrase match, you wouldn't have that issue because you clamp down on it right away. And for the most part, you want to run exact match only. And unless you actually need phrase match to get to the next level, until you need broad match legitimately to get to the next level, you don't do it either. It's not that broad match is horrible all in itself. It's just, why do you do it at the very beginning when you probably aren't even making any money yet? Clamp that down to the exact match, make your money, then try to get the next one and the next one to go once you've already are making money, because you're always playing a game at the beginning of, can I make enough profit before I run out of money to get to the other side of this thing? Because once you're profitable, it just gets more and more profitable. But you don't want to run your ads so broad that it takes 6 months to be profitable, and you ran out of money on month 4 and you're just out of the game. So optimized targeting. Optimized targeting is something that Google wants you to do to run any display campaign, YouTube campaign, and so forth. And what this is like saying it's the display version of broad match. Hey Google, I want to show up on all my competitors' YouTube channels, but when you have optimized targeting turned on, now they're going to say, well, I think you should show up for these 50,000 other channels. Then 90% of your budget goes to those other channels, and now you're not making money anymore. So that could be certainly why your conversion rate decreased, because at the beginning, a lot of times, you could have had this turned on by default, because Google makes it very easy to have it turned on by default right away. But the algorithm doesn't really run your ads broadly until later on, presumably because they don't want to scare you off right away. But then slowly they start sneaking it in later, and when you're not really paying attention, because most people just see if their ads are profitable when they start running Google ads. If it's profitable, they stop paying attention to it. Google damn well knows that. Smart bidding, okay? If you're using smart bidding and you're doing lead generation, and you're saying you'll pay $40 for a lead, what will happen whether you're running search ads or display ads, but especially with display ads of any type, that is YouTube, demand gen campaigns, whatever. If a bot is going to click through your ad, okay, that's going to be the cheapest source of your leads, because bots are programmed to fill out your form at a high rate, and they do that to fool Google into thinking it's a real legitimate user. So what happens is if you have smart bidding and you say, Google, get as many leads as you can at $40, I'll take everyone at $40 you can, get me. A bot lead comes in and it costs $2, and then it says, oh wow, there's a great opportunity. Let's go after people that look like a bot now. And then it just loads up on the bot traffic until you have nothing but bot traffic left. So it's very dangerous to use smart bidding when you have subpar tracking set up. If you're using smart bidding when you're doing lead generation, you need to have opportunity level tracking where you're validating the lead as a quality lead and then using that to give to Google's algorithm that runs the ads for you to look at and get you more people like that, not just anybody who fills out the form in general. Granted, you can get by with using smart bidding, and to power the smart bidding, have Google look at people who fill out the form or call if you're running Google search ads and you're running an exact match and it's tight. When you're running display ads, it's not easy to run your campaign tightly. And that's like the only way to get it to work legitimately at that point in time. And it's just good practice. If you want to make real money with your ads, you need to get real data into your account so Google can see exactly the people that are profitable to you so they can model it and get you more of that. Otherwise, they can't get you what they don't know. You got to tell them what you want. If you want a good quality customer or lead or whatnot, you got to show them when you get them. Otherwise, they're just never going to be able to catch on to it. They'll kind of catch on over time, but it'll be nothing like you saying, okay, this one was perfect, this one wasn't, this guy was perfect, this one wasn't, so they can see exactly what the differences are between the two crowds of people, so they can get you more and more and more of what you want over time. The other thing is, in general, to get this fixed, you want to clamp down your targeting, whether you're doing search ads or display ads. Find where the most likely traffic out of what you're doing right now, or we're doing, that's most likely to convert, narrow everything down to that right away, start making money again, and then start going broader again after that. And especially once your tracking is set up right, so when you scale it back up, it will scale profitably and predictably. And like I said before, what you really want to do if you're a pro at this is start conservatively with your targeting. Yes, everybody wants to just go hog wild with it right away, but then they, run out of steam because their bank account goes dry because they're not doing it efficiently. Run a small campaign targeting the most likely to convert traffic. Get that to work. Peel off 10-20% of the profit you're making on that to start something else new. That's going to be your next lowest hanging fruit opportunity. Get that to work. Go into the next opportunity and stack the campaigns that you're running. And that's how you build a multi-million-dollar a year ad account for your business. And it's not going to be overnight. It's going to take you a few years. But consistently, you keep building and building and building, and you're going to cash out on it. It's just going to take some labor and some work to do it, because generally speaking, the stuff you do at the beginning, the most obvious buyers, where they're typing in like Invisalign services near me, isn't going to be like the person who types in Invisalign by itself. And so the Invisalign by itself searchers, there's going to be a small portion of it that's profitable. And you got to find that small portion. And that takes time, that takes money. And instead of freaking yourself out and stressing yourself out and starting super broad and saying, oh, it's got to work, I'm going to go broke, go broke, it's got to work. Start with the thing that's likely to work right away, the most likely to work right away, the near me searches, make that work. Then do the non-near me searches, knowing it's going to take a while. But no matter how long it takes, I'm good. Because I'm already, the money that it takes to power the non-near me searches, I've got that. And it's all free money from the first campaign that I set up that targets the near me searches. And if it takes 2 years for this other thing to work, it's okay, it's cool. And I'm willing to do it because once it works, I can use it for the next 10 years after that. So whatever I spent in the first 2 years to get it working, that's a month's worth of profit when it is working. Wide picture you think about what you're doing with your ad campaigns, the more likely you're going to be successful, because there's no shortage of people who don't want to put any damn work in to get their campaigns to work. They want to spend 15 minutes setting up an ad and they're done. And they're just going to instantly get rich like nobody in their entire industry thought of that. Yeah, maybe if you have something new, no competition, there's a lot of demand for what you have already, you can get it to work instantly like that and just millions practically speaking overnight. That is true. You have a ton of competition. The barrier to entry is the time and dedication and money you're going to have to dump into it up front to get it to where it's profitable. That is what keeps anybody else in your space doing it. If there's 100 people in your niche space doing what you do, and there's 4 ads at the top of Google that are going to be able to afford to be there, and everybody knows about Google ads, who the hell gets to be in that space and who doesn't? The person who's willing to put more time in on their campaigns to please Google the most, highest click-through rates, highest conversion rates, so they want to promote them the most to help promote their platform as a quality platform. One who has the right tracking to show to Google where the results are and put the most time in it to gather data, to give Google the most data about who buys from you and who doesn't, so who to show the ad to and who not to. And it's really that simple. If you have a better ad than your competition, all the people that show up in your space and your wherever you're advertising, you're going to make money. Maybe not instantly still, but eventually once the algorithm that Google has or Facebook has figures out that you're the one that converts the best, they want to promote you as a result. Google especially and Microsoft especially, they want to promote whoever gets the best ads and the best landing pages for their users because it gets them to want people to click on ads in the future. They click on an ad, they get what they want, they buy. In the future, when an ad is shown, they're more likely to click on it. And therefore, they're building a long-term viability of their ads. And if they only showed an ad whenever they felt like it or as much as they could, people would avoid the ads altogether eventually, and they wouldn't be able to make shit from any ad. And so this is very finicky. They spend lots of money to figure out how to have an ad that helps somebody and not show an ad when it won't help somebody. So that people, when they see an ad, know there's actual value by clicking on that ad. And you just got to show Google that you're doing it better than the competition. And if you do, they charge you like 20% of what the guy who does it the worst gets charged. They also send the higher quality, most likely to convert person to you on top of everything else. Yes, they literally send the shitty people that are not serious to the person who does the worst in terms of click-through rate and conversion rate. I see it. And that's where you start out is when you start out advertising, you're at the bottom. You are that guy. You have to fight your way to the top where you get the good quality traffic. And you have to set up the best ads, best landing pages, and then you have to invest into the ads so the algorithm can see inside and out it actually does do better because it ain't going to make no assumptions. And it's going to slowly test it out. See if you're really good. Okay, looks like you're good. We'll run it a little bit more. And eventually they'll run it full blast and just try to literally dump everything they can on you. And then you make shitloads of money. And so if you just set up the ads the right way where because you got someone knowledgeable working with you, that this ad's going to be all the other ads as well as this landing page, and then you run it for a while. It may take 3, 6 months, 12 months to get to the other side of that where Google knows it's better than all existing ads. When it does, it will throw a shitload of money on your business. If you have any questions about anything I covered here, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, what the hell are you doing? You should subscribe to this channel because you're not going to find, I promise you, better information than what you're going to find on this channel about the specific topic of making money online, running ads for your business, as it's coming from somebody who's ran hundreds of ad campaigns and currently runs, we have 50 clients at any given time. Within those, each one has 10, how many different campaigns running? So literally hundreds at any given time on top of it. I give you the free advice about what works and what doesn't work with your ads, which that doesn't sound that cool until you realize 99% of the information you find about running ads online is coming from people who don't run any ads. I promise you they don't run any ads. I know they don't run any ads. Therefore, you can't listen to they say, because this is something you only know when you run lots and lots of ads, because stuff changes all the time and it just takes a lot of experience to be even halfway good at running ads. So you should subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find my blog. If you haven't seen my blog yet, you absolutely need to check that out as well. You can find my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, which is on our company website. The blog has even better information, I promise you. There's step-by-step instructions to be able to roll out certain strategies that are proven go-to strategies at our firm to get guaranteed results for our clients. There's screenshots, the whole thing that you need to be able to execute these strategies, which are our go-to strategies at our firm for your account. It's all there for you to be able to use. You should check that out as well. If you like the channel, you're going to like the blog just as much or even more. You can also, if you would like, now or in the future, to hire somebody to do all this stuff for you. You don't want to do all the heavy lifting of setting up these complex structures that get results every time. This is what our team at our agency is trained to do. You work directly with me, but we have a huge team that can execute these things for you. And we do not charge our clients fees at the beginning until we can get them a certain minimum lift in the results. If you're making $5,000 a month now, we'll get you to 10, practically speaking, before we charge a fee. And then the fee kicks in, and we're going to turn it into a long-term relationship. We don't work with just any client, though. We're very picky about who we work with. We want to know for sure you got a good offer. We know we can do well with it. But if you want to see if we can work together, I offer a free consultation. If you reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com, be happy to look over your stuff and give you some estimates of what kind of results we can provide for you, if we can. Most of the time we can get results, but it's just a matter of, do you have something that's, good to promote? If you want to also reach out to me, I also have ad templates available. A lot of you guys just want to run your own ads. You don't want to work with no stinking agency. That's fine. And a lot of times it's just because you like to be hands-on. If we've worked in your niche market before, you should use the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates, all of it that we've already developed for your niche market already, because we've already done all the hard work. We've already spent all the money to figure out what it is that you're trying to get to on your own, which is rock bottom lead costs or very high ROI and campaigns at scale on top of it. If we've worked in your niche market before, we'll tell you exactly what results we got in your niche market. And with that, you'll already know with the template, if you just buy it from us, what you're going to stand to gain from it. At the very least, you should see what we've done in your niche market. Maybe you'll buy the template, maybe you won't, but you won't know unless you reach out to me at my firm here at Guaranteed PPC and find out for yourself at guaranteedppc.com. We got people using these templates, by the way, to just start whole other businesses. It's like if there was a business in a box that really existed, this would be it, because you could literally set up a template, start generating leads tomorrow, sell those leads to somebody in the niche space, and you got a business already. We've also got templates that you can use to sell printer toner, which anybody can get from China and sell it in a country that our client doesn't operate in and have a turnkey business from that, which we've had people do that. If you're interested in any of those other opportunities, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. But with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.